Thanks for checking in to the State of Basketball podcast. I'm Adam Miller, and I'm here with Jaron Wilt each and every week. We're going to be bringing you the news and notes on all 11 Division I basketball schools in the state of Indiana, because in 49 states,
it's just basketball.
Jaron, we're here, episode 8. We're getting close to 10. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, well, so there's 18 weeks in the season if you count 17 weeks in the season, something like that.
Yeah.
So we're almost halfway through the season. Our first season.
This is
doing this.
Next week will be our last week with non-conference matchups primarily, and after next episode, we will be just jumping into all conference play pretty much. We had some conference play this week, but
the only thing that will be non-conference is the MAC versus Sunbelt Challenge.
Yep.
For the
belt.
The belt.
Yeah.
But that's, I think, first week of February, so we're still a few weeks away from that. A few months, a month and a half away from that. Yeah, well, mostly.
Yeah, be conference play after this, and then show will change a little bit, I guess, after conference tournaments and the NCAA tournament. I guess we'll have to be a little bit more national, the whole country focused, but we'll see where it takes us.
Yeah, we'll worry about that when we get there. If you do have interest in learning about different things in the off season, let us know in the comments. Let us know what y'all want to hear about, during the late spring, summer months. But anyways, I want to talk about our power rankings.
Yeah, let's get into it. 1 through 11, baby.
1 through 11. So in our power rankings this week, starting off at number 1, I'm going to shock you here, Adam.
Okay.
It's Purdue.
All right. Makes sense.
At number 2, we've got Indiana State.
Still strong. Still looking good.
They're looking great. Moved up 1, Indiana.
Okay.
Moved back 1 was Purdue. So Indiana's at 3. Butler. Indiana is at 3. Butler is at 4. PFW stayed at 5. Evansville 6. Ball State 7. Notre Dame 8. Valpo 9. IUPUI at 10.
Okay, interesting.
Southern Indiana at 11.
I like it. I think IUPUI deserves to move up. Southern Indiana still seeking that Division I win.
Yeah, I think that was the big thing for a while. Southern Indiana and IUPUI was 11th just because they only had one Division I win and had been struggling. And because USI hasn't gotten that yet, I really think, even though IUPUI beat Defiance, a non-Division I team, they played well. And I just think that warrants them jumping over Southern Indiana just because, one, they have a better record, so they've got more wins, generally speaking. And then, my hope is that Southern Indiana sees this, hears this, they're like, okay, we got to win for them. And they use our power rankings as motivation to get that first Division I win as they're going into conference play.
Yeah, hopefully. Just after IUPUI's beatdown of Defiance, it's like, how much is a non-D1 win really worth?
Yeah.
IUPUI has had some really bad losses, but so has Southern Indiana.
Yeah.
And you have to beat a D1 team to not be in the last spot. This point, this late in the season.
Yeah, especially going into conference play where everyone you're playing will be Division I. We'll talk about them a little bit more when they come up, but I think that was kind of the rationale that I took this week going into those rankings.
Right. Well, let's jump into the games this week. So it was kind of a light week. Next week is going to be even lighter on games because everyone's going to be off for Christmas, but you saw some people having games. A couple teams played twice, but our first team in the power rankings, Ball State, they only played once, and they actually moved down in KenPom by 5 spots.
Yep.
They went 0-1 this week. They're 8-4 overall now. They lost pretty big at Minnesota, which they were double-digit dogs.
Yep.
At first place.
Yeah.
And then it came out that Ben Hendricks is going to be out, and Mickey Pearson was going to be out.
Yeah, Mickey's a top scorer for them, a top...
Two very important players for the team.
And Ben Hendricks, like we've talked about the last couple of weeks, he's really come alive. and been an important piece for that team. So losing those two pieces, there's a couple other players that didn't play. I think more bench players, role players that didn't see a whole lot of minutes or even have major impact up to this point in the season. But yeah, having Mickey Pearson and Ben Hendricks out was a big blow. They lost by 17. They did, there was one point in the second half with about 7 minutes to play. They only trailed by 7, which that's good. They're playing on the road against a Big Ten opponent in Minnesota.
Big conference leader in assists right now.
Yep. So it was definitely a tough challenge going into that for the Cardinals. But it just, after that 7-minute mark left to play, it just kind of Minnesota pulled away, which I wasn't surprised about.
No.
I think I was shocked that they did have a single-digit deficit that late in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But, like we've talked about all season, you never know what the Cardinals are going to do.
Yeah, and, again, they're hard to trust away from Worthen.
Yep.
And you have this Minnesota team, which is better than last year. I think they're going to be improved. I don't know if they'll be a tournament team, maybe an NIT team, but they weren't able to play Ball State basketball. They had 2 fast break points, and they got doubled up on turnovers. More than that, they had more than twice as many turnovers.
Yeah, the first half alone, Minnesota had 17 points off turnovers to Ball State's 3. Yeah. So that's definitely not going to help the Cardinals. That deficit. Points off turnovers in the first half, quite literally, if you look at it that way, lost them the game just because they lost by 17 and they gave up 17 points off turnovers. But honestly, Ball State, they shot well. Mm-hmm. It was just, Minnesota shot a little better and didn't let Ball State play their game. And I think that's what made the big impact and why Ball State lost the game.
Yeah, and this is the same Minnesota team that absolutely handed it to IUPUI, so it's not too surprising. Ball State's better than IUPUI according to our power rankings and every ranking system there is, but it was just kind of what we expected. So tough loss, but hopefully they'll bounce back. Our next team, get into Butler.
Yep.
They played today. They played Saturday.
Yep.
So this is our last game of the week. No one's playing on Christmas Eve. No one's playing on Christmas. So we got day off almost.
Yeah. A couple days off.
They started Big East play.
Yeah, on Tuesday.
Yeah. So they started Big East play with a win over Georgetown.
10-point win. Big win.
Yeah.
I'd say to start the conference season strong.
Which is good. Georgetown isn't very good this year. You got Ed Cooley over there, but
yeah, they're still definitely in a rebuild, much more of the early stages of a rebuild than Butler is. But still, it's still a good win, and that win made Butler, they're 8-0 at home.
Yeah,
that's what we like to see, defending your home court.
Right, and Georgetown is kind of like in the Notre Dame situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
If that puts it into terms that understand based on listening to our show, it's a new coach, a good coach, but just in a new situation who just doesn't have many pieces. Then they took just a heartbreaking loss to Ed Cooley's old team, Kim English's Providence Friars, lost by 10 in overtime. And that's the one that I primarily want to talk about. But let's talk about Georgetown just real quick. Give a little quick rundown. They're horrible from 3. They're 4 from 18, but they were great from the free throw line.
Oh yeah.
And Posh had 13 and 7 assists, and I think tied or was one away from his career high steals. He had 5 steals.
Yep, his career high is 6, so he was one short of that. But yeah, talking about free throws real quick, I want to talk about free throws in the Georgetown game and also in the Providence game.
Yeah.
But in the Georgetown game alone, right, they're 16 for 18 from the free throw line. On the season, they're 78.5% from free throw, which had them at 10th nationally in free throw percentage. And up to this game, and even through this game, they haven't shot less than 78% from the line all season. So they were shooting pretty good from the line.
Yeah.
Providence game, however, they did not shoot great from the line. They were 11 for 20 going into the game. That the Georgetown game bumped them up to actually 7th nationally,
Mm-hmm.
and free throw rate at 79.5%. And like I just mentioned, they were going into the game, hadn't shot below 70% all season until this game where they shot just over 50%. So,
I mean, that was just a tough game.
yeah.
But it was like they were like in a close game with Georgetown for most of the first half, and then Coach Mata actually said, like in a huddle, he said to Posh Alexander, he was like, "Would you please get this thing to double-digit lead by halftime?" And he was like, "Coach, don't worry about it. I got you." And he did. So they were just kind of trading buckets, and then Dad Mata and Posh thought they had something, and they were up like 13.5. So props to them. They seem like they have a really good relationship, and you can tell that there's a lot of trust there between those two.
I mean, I think that's important when you've got a storied coach like Mata, who has coached a lot of great point guards.
Yeah, when you've coached people like Evan Turner and you've coached people like Mike Conley.
Yeah, and then Posh coming in, a great point guard, building that building that rapport with the coach.
Yeah.
I think that's a good sign for the future of or really just the rest of the season.
Yeah, this season. I mean, we'll see. I think that they can make it to the tournament.
I definitely think there's a path for them to make it into the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, Big East is going to be tough, and unfortunately, they did not get a road win that was almost in their hands. They needed that.
Yeah,
I mean, you need a win like that. That's going to be almost like one of the easier wins to get in the Big East away. Like when you're up late in that game, like you need to finish that. They weren't able to do it. So let's talk about the Providence game. They were down 0 to 15.
Yeah.
And they missed their first 13 shots.
That doesn't help you win a game.
No, but the fact that they were up 3 with
9 seconds to play.
Yeah.
No, they were up. Yeah, they were up 3 with 9 seconds.
Yeah.
And they just gave up a buzzer beater 3 to send it into overtime.
So they were up 3 with like 9 seconds left, and I think Butler was the team that took the timeout. One team took a timeout. I think it was Butler, and Providence was able to get it up the court with like 6 seconds left. They got it down into the paint with like 3 seconds left, and I was like, "You need to foul.
Yeah,
you need to foul right now. Like you should have fouled." They weren't able to foul once they got it over the half court line. But when he was down low, I don't even remember who it was. He wasn't even looking to shoot. He was trying to give it to someone else. You need to foul him. If you foul him and he's shooting a shot, you live with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just hack the crap out of him. They ended up shooting, passing it out, tying with a 3, and then they had all the momentum going into overtime. So Butler that's just so deflating.
Yeah,
Providence just carried that. I think that's what lost them the game.
Yeah, for sure. I will say, it was impressive. There were only 12 combined turnovers the entire game. So both teams took care of the ball like you should in a competitive conference matchup. And I think that is really a big thing. I mean, the second half, there were 11 lead changes, 8 ties.
Yeah.
No team led by more than 4 over the final 15 minutes of the second half. And then you just take that heartbreak loss. I mean, Butler scored 6 points in overtime.
Yeah. And it was not even...
Providence is 16.
It wasn't even close. I mean, Providence just controlled it straight from the jump. And, the dunk now, it's something else. It's called they changed the name. I'm going to call it the dunk forever.
Yeah.
The dunk is just a hard place to play.
Yeah.
So you had to win it there because you're not winning that thing in overtime.
I will give Butler a little bit of benefit of the doubt. They played well. They played a good 40 minutes, a not so good additional 5.
Yeah.
Right. It's 5 extra.
Yep. Except for the first 5 minutes is pretty bad.
Well,
too.
Yeah, but Butler didn't get to Providence until this morning.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
They had if you don't know, they had a mechanical issue with their plane. They were going to leave from Indianapolis last night.
Like you do.
Yeah. Mechanical issue. They stayed in Indianapolis for Friday, flew out to Providence Saturday morning.
Yeah. Yeah, like 7:30 in the morning for a noon game.
And they went straight from the airport to the arena.
Mm.
That's just a recipe for disaster. Obviously, it was out of their control. It sucks that no one could find a new plane for them.
So we should put an asterisk on Providence's win, I think.
I mean, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is not it's a Mickey Mouse win.
It's a Mickey Mouse.
It's a Mickey Mouse win.
Has to be.
But that's all I have for Butler. We'll move on to
now they're
Evansville.
You say they're 10-3. I mean, they're 10-3.
Yeah, they're still 10-3. And mind you, I guess one last thing about Butler and really the Big East in general. Creighton and Marquette are not playing too great.
Neither is UConn. Neither did UConn.
Yeah, we'll talk about this in the 49 states recap.
Yeah.
But the door is not open for them to win the conference.
Right.
But the teams who are the expected leaders.
If you can steal a win at home against like a UConn.
Yeah. Or even just, you know that these teams are not unbeatable.
Yeah.
Going into the conference tournament, you could maybe pull something off. Because I think realistically, the only way they're getting into the tournament is by winning the conference tournament, or playing phenomenally.
I think
in conference play,
if they go a little bit over, if they win like 50% of their conference games, I think that they'll make it in.
Yeah.
But our next team is a team that will have to make the tournament, or will have to win the tournament.
Yep.
Which will be tough to make it in the NCAA tournament. So Evansville is up to 160th in KenPom, up from 180, so they jumped 20 spots. Part of that's because they went 2-0 this week. They're 10-2 overall. They had a win over UT Martin, 98-91, and then a dominant start to finish win against Tennessee Tech, 82-51.
A lot of Tennessee teams played in Indiana this week.
Yeah,
I noticed that. I think maybe 3 or 4 or 5, something like that.
I mean, Evansville played 2 of them.
Yeah, and I think Indiana State may have played another. But
I mean, to be fair, Evansville's not that far from Tennessee. At the bottom of Indiana, you just go through the
narrow part of Kentucky.
Narrow part of Kentucky.
Okay. Yes, but the UT Martin game, Coach Ragland had really good words to say about it.
Okay.
He said, "There's a 40-minute game, and sometimes you just need to find a way to win. UT Martin is extremely talented. They average 85 points for a reason. It was an up and down game with a lot of points. We did not plan on playing zone. We had it in our back pocket, and we needed it. We had it in our back pocket in case we needed it. They needed it, and I feel like we're getting closer every day. And credit our guys for sticking through it. Tonight was a complete team win.
It's nice when teams vary their defenses, and we saw this in the Indiana win against Louisville.
Yep,
they threw that zone out there. Louisville didn't know what to do.
Kenny Payne said it was Mike Woodson tricked him.
He tricked me.
I mean, we talked about it too when we went to the high school game a couple weeks ago for Northside versus Southside. We talked about it. How I talked about it. I think you just kind of listened. How more teams should vary their defense, because in high school they pretty much play strictly man.
Yeah,
and I don't think high school players could play well against the zone. I don't think they know what to do. I mean, we're seeing it with college players, but
yeah, I mean, it's just it's
a good tool to have.
When you're not expecting it for a team to play a zone against you, it can just trip you up and puts a little more pressure on your shooters, and they're either going to rise up or they're not. So, I mean, good on them. Hopefully this is Coach Ragland throwing the zone out there as opposed to the Indiana, where it was like one of the assistants who was we haven't been playing well. Let's just throw a zone out there.
Yeah.
So they have practiced it. So good win for them. Kenny Strawbridge had a season high 21. Humberhouse had 15-9. And Toomey had 15-7. Didn't shoot great from 3, 8 of 29, but
they didn't need to.
Yeah, I mean, they got it done. They outscored a really high scoring team, and times it's just you're not gonna shoot a great percentage because you're just gonna be taking a lot more shots.
Yeah, which is okay.
Yeah, I mean,
my philosophy is if your shooting percentage is low and you win, you win. You get you get additional tally mark in the win column, and I think that's at the end of the day what matters. because you can just go to practice and shoot 1,000 shots and get them to fall.
Yeah. Tennessee Tech. So the second Tennessee game for them. The person that stood out to me was Chucky Bailey. He had 18 points in 17 minutes. Huge.
Dude's a baller.
Yeah.
There's a reason I brought him up in our season preview.
I wonder what they were expecting him to contribute this year. Hummerkaus is coming in, transfer up. You don't really know exactly.
Right, how it's
I'm
going to
sure Ragland
translate.
had a good idea. You don't know how it's going to translate. Some freshmen just struggle coming in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, him being a nice piece, I say it like every week, I feel like, but like that's got to be a very nice sign to have him on the bench, coming in and just balling out, getting his minutes and getting his minutes and his points and getting out in this game, like a lot of the starters did too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is their first 10-win season since 2018-2019 season. After the win against Tennessee Tech, giving them 10 wins, double last year's win total,
and they're one away from getting their last 2 seasons win total combined. So
good season for and we talked about it with Coach Lepper when we went to visit Purdue Fort Wayne last week, is he was like, what the heck is going on with Evansville?
Yeah, he didn't expect it.
I mean, no one did, I don't think, but I think these guys,
Evansville has been so down in the Missouri Valley that people had been talking about, like, should Evansville even be in the Missouri Valley Conference? And this year I think they're showing people that they do belong in the Missouri Valley Conference. Conference play, still a lot of time in conference play to go.
Yep.
But they're looking really good. They're clicking really well. So
I think that's what matters the most, especially in this the transfer era that we're in, is are the guys clicking?
Yep.
And they are. And that's what I think is what's helping them win a lot of these games, especially the close ones.
Yeah. So in this game, Hummerkaus had 15. He kind of got his points and got out in the game. He went 5 of 5 from 3. Dude is just a baller. He's just playing so well. And I think that is like probably one of the best scenarios of a transfer up that you can find. Dude coming from Huntington, going to Evansville and just balling out.
He's what people would call a walking bucket.
Yeah. And these 2 wins were big because they had 3, including one of their games last week. They played 3 games in 5 days and they won all 3.
Yeah. And that's huge.
That's like tournament turnaround,
Yeah.
Every other day. That's really nice. Good for them. I think they're going to be tested. We're going to find out how legit they are here soon.
In the Missouri Valley Conference.
Even before it starts, because next they go to Cincinnati, who's been pretty good.
Yeah.
And then they go to Indiana State for conference play in the new year. So you're going to find out real quick.
Yep.
And if you lose those 2 games, your team's tight and they seem close and they seem like they click well. So they're going to have to bring that back up. But I think that they're going to do really well, and we'll see what they can do in those 2 games. If they can pull off some wins, hopefully they can steal one at Cincinnati. But Indiana State is tougher than Cincinnati, I would say, at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's a tougher ask for them to win at Indiana State. It's going to be an in-state rivalry type of deal. Good for Evansville, man.
Yeah. You mentioned stealing a game.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Indiana, who stole a game Tuesday night against Morehead State in Assembly Hall. Weird to say they stole a game in Assembly Hall against Morehead State.
Yeah, they won by 1.
They won by 1 after being down by like 16 at one point.
Yep.
But Hoosiers, they moved down 2 spots in KenPom, as to be expected.
Yeah.
They went 2-0 this week, though. Like we mentioned, a 1-point win against Morehead State. And they had a math is hard. They won 83-66 to North Alabama on Thursday. What is that? 16? 17? Dang. I'm not too good at counting numbers.
Yeah, so they're 9-3 overall. My brother-in-law reminded me that yes, this is the same Morehead State team that Purdue beat by 30 this year.
Purdue lost to the Northwestern team that lost to Chicago State. So like, was that your rebuttal? Please tell me it was your rebuttal.
It was not. Well, we were talking about another thing. It was thrown in there.
Yeah, okay. Just a little slight.
Yeah.
Got it. Makes sense.
But John Rothstein tweeted out, he always, whenever a team loses a bye game, he always says epitome of brutality. And he tweeted out, he was like, Indiana has flirted with the epitome of brutality, but has never been brought to the gates of hell. And that's how you end up on the right side on Selection Sunday. And it's like, that's true, because at the end of the day, you did not take losses here.
Yeah.
So you don't have any big wins, Indiana, but you don't have any bad losses. You're only lost to top 15, top 20 teams in the country.
That's okay at this point. Yeah.
You'll take it.
Yeah.
You know, obviously you wanted that win over Kansas, but in the same way that Butler lost in that Providence game, you had it until you didn't.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
Morehead State game, IU was trailing for like the whole game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, really up until the last 8 minutes, I think, is when.
Yep. Till they went on their run.
Yeah. IU went on a 16-0
run.
16-0. Yep. To take the lead.
And then it was,
I think they finished on like an 18-4 run.
Yep. Something like that.
So it and that tells you that they went on a 16-4 run and won by 1. Yeah. That tells you where they were at. And I mean, Morehead State, they had every opportunity to win at the end.
Mm-hmm.
They had 20 seconds left, the ball.
Yeah, they had the opportunity for a last shot, and then Malik Renew got a hand on it. Yeah, but they didn't get the action that they got. I mean, 2 things won this game for Indiana. One is Anthony Walker,
absolutely
coming off the bench, dropping 18, playing like the only person who wanted to be there.
Yeah,
I don't know what everyone else is doing. I don't know if they were trying to check out for Christmas early or something.
They
had another game after this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's probably hard to go in and get up for a team like Morehead State after you got so close to beating Kansas.
Yeah, I think that does probably it checks you mentally a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
That's an excuse, but I do think that is, could have played a part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there can be a million reasons. You should have won this game by a lot.
Yeah.
You didn't. You won by 1 because Anthony Walker had 18 points and he tied his career high. And then the other reason why you won is defense. You go on a 16-0 run when you're down 15. I mean, talk about your back being against the wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
So props to them for not taking a bad loss and avoiding that. But luckily in their next game, that was different.
Yeah. I mean, real quick with the Morehead State game, Mike Woodson said it, as he said, that's unacceptable. That's on me.
Yeah.
I have to keep working to get them better. Make sure we don't put ourselves in that position again. And I think that's a lot of ownership that I think a lot of Indiana fans have been saying Mike Woodson's not doing. And him saying that, I think, is a big, not step in the right direction. That's big for the program, especially because a lot of fans are saying that he's not good.
The Morehead State game was a big game for the Fire Woodson crowd.
Oh yeah,
huge.
I mean, game. It was painful watching it because I mean I'm sitting there next to my dad and he's kind of saying the same thing. It's like, the hell. But then I'm just scrolling through Twitter and it's the
same thing.
It's bad,
and that's the biggest problem. I don't know if that's the biggest problem, but that's a huge problem with just Indiana fans in general.
Oh yeah.
Is there's such a doomer mentality, and I don't know if it's because of the last 20 years of way that the yo-yoing around, the low lows of the Davis era and the Sampson era ending, and just like wanting immediate success. But you went to the tournament 2 years in a row.
Yeah, which you hadn't been in 6 years, the 6 years prior.
Yeah. So, be happy with that. And this team, everyone has said it. We've said it. And everyone who talks about Indiana has said, we don't know what they'll be, but they're probably going to take a while to figure it out.
People who know ball are saying that.
Yeah.
People who don't know ball are saying Fire Woodson.
It's crazy. The team's going to take time to get everything worked out. You're still missing your starting point guard. You just barely lost to Kansas. Would you still be saying that if you had just barely pulled off the win against Kansas? Probably not.
Right, and I think
You would
that's
have been like,
a
a classic hangover game.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Indiana has done almost every year. It's like, big game at Purdue, we won. Oh, drop the next game to Northwestern or whoever. So
I'd say like Nebraska.
Yeah,
I wouldn't throw Northwestern in there because
Northwestern 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But the North Alabama game kind of silenced that crowd for the time being. Malik Renew had a career high of 25, and he was 4 for 4 from 3. Tweeted out during the game like, "This is Malik Curry, dude."
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on, but he was just on one.
They shot lights out from 3. It was absolutely insane. 50% from the floor, 12 for 20, or not 50% from 3.
12 for 24 from 3.
Anthony Leal had his first 3 since February 2022.
Yeah.
So good on him. I mean,
which, do you know who that game was? That Anthony Leal. What team did Anthony Leal hit his last 3-pointer against? There's a free throw for you.
Was it Purdue?
Team? No.
I don't remember.
I'll tell you some names of people that were not playing in the game and see if you can tell me what game it was.
Was it Northwestern?
It was the Northwestern at Northwestern.
When like 6 people were...
The 5 suspended players game.
I remember I saw people tweeting that, the last 3 he hit was that game.
Yeah.
All they said was that. And I couldn't remember what that was. I was like, I don't know, but that
the one where
that rings a bell. Where
we figured out that Trey probably could run the one pretty well.
Yeah. No, that's
so. Yeah, that was the last time he had a 3, but they doubled up. Like their previous high in 3-pointers was 6.
Yeah,
that they hit. They shot 24, a normal amount of 3-pointers to be shooting in a basketball game.
Yep, I'm okay with it.
Shooting 30 is fine. Like that's a little high.
Yeah.
24, like you should be shooting 15.
And I mean,
at the low end.
Mike Woodson said it too. Is like, we can hit threes. We shoot enough. Generally speaking, we just need them to fall in, and they finally started seeing them fall in. And I think it's gonna be huge for the team's confidence.
Yeah,
because
hopefully,
yeah. I mean, a nugget that I took from the game before the game, during shoot around, Woodson walks up to X. Goes, when am I going to see you back on the floor? X says, I'll be back in a week. X has been telling Mike Woodson that for about a month. But I think it's interesting that it's a good sign, I think, to their relationship is Mike Woodson's looking to Xavier Johnson to know when he's ready. And it's not the coach saying, okay, you passed all the physical therapy tests.
Yeah.
Get on the court. I think it's a good sign of respect to each other.
Yeah.
Similar like we said with Mata and Osh.
Yep.
I think that X going back is going to be huge.
You need that with your lead guard.
Yeah.
But great game. Galloway had 9 assists. They finally blew out a bye game. The team, Renew with his career high, was crediting Calbert Chaney for his ability, and
not a bad person to credit.
Pretty good guy to learn from if you want to, be able to score and play in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can learn from the guy who's done it more than anyone else.
Yeah. Another thing about Malik in this game is, he after the game he was asked so that the team didn't practice after Thursday. They don't have practice again until Tuesday, the 26th. And Malik was asked, is like, taking time off? It's absolutely not. Basketball's a year round out here.
They need it.
Yeah. I mean, but I think that's also shows a good sign of Malik because he had a career high.
Yeah,
and
he's not resting on his laurels, so to speak.
He's not resting. He still knows that he needs to get in the gym and work.
I think the thing going forward is they have one more bye game, Kennesaw State, next Thursday or next Friday.
Yep.
I don't expect X to be back for that game.
I would love if he is.
I think if he's close, just rest him another game. But I mean, I think right now there's going to be a fine line between waiting until X is completely, for sure, no questions asked, healthy, and like, is it too late to bring him back? Like, if you lose some of these first couple of Big Ten games, it might be too late. If he's out and he misses a couple of them and you lose, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Luckily, you got 2 wins already in the Big Ten.
Yep.
So you have that, but you can't bring him back too late.
I would love for him to be able to play Friday, just because it gets him run against a non-conference team, a team that they should beat, similarly to how they beat North Alabama and how they should have beat Morehead State. But I think that's a good, bring him off the bench. He's say he feels he's 100% healthy by Wednesday, Thursday. Bring him off the bench. Get him just the conditioning in of a live game, and then go into conference play. I think it'd be huge. But again, I mean, I'm with you. I think you gotta wait till you're 100% healthy, and then you just fingers crossed that you do well in the first couple. You just don't want to
bring him back too late after your back's against the wall.
Yeah. Team whose back has not been against the wall.
Who's firmly in the driver's seat.
Yep.
Conference is Indiana State. They did move down 59. They did move down 59th from 50th, but they won over Tennessee State. They're 11-1 overall. Mm-hmm. Their 1 loss is to Alabama. I think that they would beat right now if they played them fully healthy.
Yeah.
I think that they would beat Alabama right now. So,
yeah, I'm with you. I mean, it was Indiana State's on a 10-game winning streak. It's the 10th time in 127 years that Indiana State has had a double-digit winning streak. Here's a free throw for you. When was their last double-digit winning streak?
Was it also the year with Larry Bird when they went 33-0?
78-79 that year. Yep,
yeah.
Exactly. Ironically, their 1 loss that season, Michigan State, who they play this week. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
but Tennessee State.
Great defense from Indiana State. They held Tennessee State to 18% from 3, just 4 of 22, just huge. Julian Larry, Isaiah Swope, Xavier Bledson, Robbie Avila, and Jason Kent were all in double figures, and Julian Larry was the one leading the way with 19 points.
Huge.
Yeah. Get 19 points from him. You get a double-double from Bledson and Avila. 10 points and 10 boards and 16 points from Bledson, and 14 boards and 18 points for Avila. Great. I think that was maybe his Avila's second highest boards night. Good for him. I said earlier in the season I would like to see him pull down more boards. I think he's capable. I know he plays a lot away from the rim a lot.
Yeah.
But
they also shoot a lot of threes, so there's opportunities for him to get deep boards.
Right. So
They also make a lot of those threes. So there's probably not rebound potential there. But
have him playing a little bit more cleanup crew and getting those kind of easy putback buckets.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Hummerhouse being a walking bucket last year. Trace Jackson Davis is a walking double-double. Robbie Avila he's in that conversation, I think, for a walking double-double. The dude's
he's just so versatile.
That good. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a 1-point game at one point in the second half, and then ISU just went on a 16-0 run. Just all right, we're done. We're heading into Christmas. We'll see you later.
Yeah.
Basically just blasted them from that point. So again, this team just can shoot. So all the shooters in the state just got, Purdue's shooters are like off and on. Mm-hmm. Indiana shooters don't exist. Indiana State shooters are just cranked to 11 at all times. Yep. They're always shooting well. They shot 47.8% on 23 attempts. So
that's pretty good.
I guess this is the first time that they haven't shot better than IU. They shot 1 less and they made 1 less. They should have shot 1 more. That way we could have a head-to-head.
Who's a better 3-point shooting team this week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they also were just lights out from the line. They made 31 free throws. That's going to win you some games.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Good for them.
IUPUI.
What'd they do in KenPom this week, Jaron?
They stayed the same.
I think this is the first time we've had a team stay the same that's not, they have Purdue in their name, so maybe that's why.
Oh, yeah.
So Purdue has stayed the same a couple of times, but IUPUI is still 359th, flirting with the bottom again.
Yeah.
They're 3 spots away.
To get to them without searching, you have to just kind of scroll. Mm-hmm. It's really, when I look up teams, if I'm on my phone because you can't search a team name,
Yeah, Ken Pom, I know you're listening. Ken Pomeroy, please add a search bar
On mobile.
on mobile. I can't find anyone. I gotta scroll, and I have to be like, I think they're between 150 and 200.
I always try to remember
who they've
played,
Yep.
and the first time I see, but Purdue's easy to find because they're always right there. IUPUI is easy to find after I scroll for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Everyone else is, and I guess Indiana's pretty easy to find because they're highlighted in red.
Yeah.
On the app or on the website.
But you scroll all the way to the bottom and you find IUPUI, unfortunately. But they did get a win. The reason why, and they did blow a team out. The reason why they did not move up in Ken Pom is because they blew out Division II Defiance 90-67. Defiance was 14 of 34 or 14 of 32 from 3 and only made 8 2-pointers in the game. So you can tell how they like to play.
Yep.
Jalen Counter, leading scorer.
Again,
You can almost just pencil that in.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
as him being the leading scorer, but they got outscored by 30 points from the 3-point line, but they outscored Defiance in the paint by 30 points. So it just balanced out. Their mid-range and their free throws, which they did shoot a lot of, 37 of them, and made 32. Everyone who scored had at least 2 points. Good for them. Everyone's getting involved.
Yeah.
I just want to see them do it against a Division I opponent.
Yeah, I mean that's the big thing, especially now that they have no more bye games.
Yeah.
Weird IUPUI having a bye game, but and they're going into conference play, and they've been, like we've talked about, perennially at the bottom of the league.
Unfortunately,
they do have a pretty. We'll talk about it a little bit. They have a pretty easy, I think, opportunity to win against Detroit Mercy.
Yeah.
But
this is all. Didn't we see Detroit Mercy give Ball State a run for Ball State's money? But that was at Detroit Mercy, and you know how Ball State is away from home. A lot of the time.
So I do think it'll be interesting to see. Would love to see them, get a couple Division I wins. I think you got to get a couple wins in the conference just to maybe have a little bit of respect in your name from your conference opponents.
It's just been disappointing bringing back more pieces than most teams.
Absolutely.
And not, moving up at all and winning a lot less than last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
But let's talk about Notre Dame, man.
Yeah, they moved down
a lot.
Yeah, in Ken Pom. They're sitting at 226 now. They were at 182, so that's 40-ish, 44 spots.
5-7 overall.
5-7. They lost to the Citadel by 20.
20, yeah.
They did beat Marist by 4.
Yeah. There's not often that there's a Division I team that doesn't have a direction or a extra adjective in there that I haven't heard of. But I had not heard of Marist before. I couldn't tell you where it is on a map.
Fun fact: I almost played college baseball at Marist.
Okay, where is it?
It's in Maine.
Okay, all right, that makes sense why I have not heard of it.
And makes sense why I didn't go play baseball there, because if you didn't know, Maine is really cold in the spring and most of the year.
Yeah, and
baseball's not a fun sport to play cold. But anyways, against the Citadel, about the only bright spot is Jared Knezeski. Yeah. I was like, it's Kennezi.
It's one of those that when I write it down, I don't want to write it down how it's spelled, just so I don't mess it up,
Yeah. I knew it was Kennezi.
Kennezi.
For some reason, seeing the C there makes me think that there's
a N.
Yeah. But anyways, he did double, 18.10 boards. His third double of the season. 18 points is also his career high. So career high night for him, and a career low night for the Fighting Irish in general.
So one of the guys that, I guess a positive thing about this, not for Notre Dame, but positive, is Elijah Morgan was a Notre Dame walk-on for 3 years. So for the last 3 years, he was a Notre Dame walk-on. He transferred this offseason to the Citadel. And in his career at Notre Dame, he had scored 22 points. He started for the Citadel against Notre Dame and dropped 19 in the 20-point win that they got. So I'm sure he I don't know. I'm sure he doesn't have any ill feelings towards Notre Dame. He just wanted to go play.
But it also probably feels good.
Probably feels good to go out there
and he can,
beat that team.
Yeah, I mean, the first half, pretty back and forth. Notre Dame only trailed by 3. They scored the first 6 points of the second half. And then the Citadel just took over.
Yeah.
They went on like a 23-4 run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. After it, like Notre Dame started the second half on a 6-0 run, and then they just disappeared.
Yeah. And I forget. Speaking of Notre Dame, it just reminded me of a tweet I saw. We've talked about it. Shrews has a large playbook. I think someone said, I can't remember. It might have been Ant Wright, maybe. Or it might have been Rothstein. That Shrews has more plays than Broadway.
Yeah, that's what Rothstein says.
Was it Rothstein?
Yeah,
okay. I saw it and I was like, I just want to bring this up.
More plays than Broadway.
Yep.
Yes. Do you want to talk about the Shrews quote?
Yeah.
Okay. So after they got blown out, Shrews was mad, and
to be expected.
Yeah, he was fired up. He's basically saying, well, he said like it starts with me. It starts with me. Mm-hmm. And then he said, if you don't play hard, then you sit and you rot on the bench. I'll go and talk to the people in compliance, and I'll help you transfer. The culture is getting built the right way. If you ain't a part of it, you're out. What do you think?
I love it. I think that's huge. It's, especially in this day where you can pretty much transfer and there's really not much stipulation on it. Not that people should transfer, but in general, like if you just realize that you came in not really knowing what to expect, and you're not, playing like you should, you're not living up to the team standards. I think it's good that he said that, right? Like I also love that the Bob Knight quote of, what do you say? Is it's butt meets seat
sends
but
sends message to brain makes you play harder or whatever.
Yeah. I butchered it and I feel bad, but yeah, I mean I think that's the thing is like you just have to be able to pull off games like this, and I think culture is the number one thing. I mean, look at Evansville, right? A team that has been perennially bad. I think it starts with Ragland, and they've got a good team culture. The players are clicking, and that's what's going to win games, in my opinion, over talent. And Shrews also a guy that like he wants his guys. Mm-hmm. If he nudges you out the door, he's also going to help you find a team to go to.
Yeah.
Which again, I think it goes to like that's what he cares about.
Not that Notre Dame has been like a phenomenal basketball team forever, but they've been very good historically for a while. Yeah. So they're not a terrible basketball team. And Shrews is brought in to be the guy for a long time. Mm-hmm. And he has to let that be known to the players. He just wants to win with guys that want to play. He'll win games with players who aren't as good because he will get them to run his system, run his plays, and play very hard.
Yep.
I don't know. Could he have been a little bit more graceful, I guess? Maybe in the saying, but I don't really have any problems with it. I like it. I mean, be fired up. And
I think at minimum it's going to spark a fire under the players.
Yeah, from everything I saw, seems like Notre Dame fans are all about it. They know Shrews is the guy, and I think Notre Dame doesn't like how they're playing this year, doesn't like the results this year, but they kind of expected it. Yeah. And probably giving them a little bit of, bright spot, saying like, oh, yep, like he means it. He's about it. Especially because like Notre Dame ain't an easy place to get into unless you play sports.
True.
So like, I feel like he's in the right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But here's that quote for you. Ass meets bench. Bench retains ass. Ass transmits signal to brain. Brain transmits signal to body. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, that's not too far off what Shrews was saying. And I think that's a great motivator for players. And I mean, I think going to the Marist game, worked a little bit. Marcus Burton popped off for 20. Mm-hmm. Or he popped off for 21, which was his 4th 20-point performance of the season. His 10th game in double figures. So I think he's a guy that needs to stay there. He's a guy that fits the culture and is leading the team even as a freshman.
Yep. I don't see him leaving.
No.
Because I don't know. I mean,
why not? You're getting attention. You're getting play.
And you've got a phenomenal coach.
You're dominating. You've got a top 10 coach in all of college basketball.
Yeah. So who else had a good game in this one?
Tay Davis.
Mm-hmm. He had 12.
Yes.
Yeah.
He had 12. Down the stretch, he had 10 of the team's final 17 points. So pretty good. He tough first half, but in the end, to help kind of pull him out into the lead was him there kind of just dominating.
One thing I have not looked for up at this point, but okay, one of their starters didn't play in the Marist game, but that allowed
Corey Booth to get the start.
I was just curious. I didn't know if the starter who didn't play, it was like a you're sitting on the bench situation for not playing hard enough. I don't think it was that, because I feel like he would have gotten minutes. So he must have been listed as out. I just didn't see that anywhere, so I was trying to check really quick and I couldn't find anything. But yes, freshman Corey Booth got the start and had 11 points. So good for him.
Do we think about that quote? Do we think that's why Braden got moved to the bench?
I don't know. I feel like maybe maybe because other people were playing hard. I don't know.
Yeah. But anyways, Notre Dame did out rebound Marist 32-25, with 11 offensive boards. So they were at the minimum motivated by what he said, and they're attacking the offensive glass, which I think is second chance points are going to win you a lot of games. Yeah. A lot of things are going to win you a lot of games, but I think second chance points are a huge part of that.
Let's talk about PFW real quick. New Fort Wayne moved up one spot.
Yep.
148 in Palm. They went 0-1 this week, and they lost by 14 at Pitt. This is a tough team. Pitt's been playing pretty well. Bello had 11, and Jalen Jackson had 10. Mueller had 8 boards, but he only had 2 points, so I assume broke his perfect games where he wasn't missing a bucket last couple.
Yep.
Anthony Roberts had 9 and 8 boards, but they shot 5 of 26 from 3 and 33.9% from the field.
Yeah, they only had 17 first half points.
Yeah, this is just a defensive game for both teams.
Mm-hmm.
It just ended up scoring more.
Yeah, I mean, they scored more, but it was also a season low for Pitt in scoring.
62.
So, I mean, that's good. They only shot or made 2 threes.
Yeah, and shot 20 of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, great job by PFW's defense. It's just Pitt's defense was just too much for PFW's offense, unfortunately.
Yeah,
they only shot 6 free throws.
Another interesting thing that I realized is both of PFW's losses, the one to Pitt and the one to San Francisco, have come to top 100 teams. San Francisco is currently 52, and Pitt is currently 43. So, good sign.
They're both good teams, yeah.
For the Mastodons. They just, when they have to play a highly defensive game, they just got to find the way to score. And I think they have the ability to do that. They just got to learn from this game and turn it around. Especially, I think they're going to fare pretty okay.
Yeah.
In conference play.
Yeah, I think that they're going to do fine.
I think they're going to kind of run the table. But their younger brother.
Yeah, so after the Arizona loss, Purdue moved back up to 2. So Purdue stayed the same this week. They're back up. They're at 2 this week. So because Arizona lost to Florida Atlantic in double overtime,
that makes
Purdue
sense.
moved back up to the 2 spot. So
Good
Purdue went
call,
1-1. They're 11-1 overall, and they had an absolutely dominant win over Jacksonville, 100-57. So they hit the 100 time for the first time in like 2 or 3 years. They hit 100 points. And
I think so, yeah.
I think they got free chicken too. I'm pretty sure that the team...
The missed free throws?
Yeah, they missed 2 free throws. So
I'm
good
sure.
for them. Traykoff and Wren played well.
Yeah.
What are you going to say?
I was just going to say talk about this game. Should West Lafayette be renamed to Dunk City, Indiana?
Maybe, dude.
They had 13 dunks in their win against Jacksonville.
And a no-look pass from Carson Barrett to a Wilberg dunk was the thing that brought them to 100 points.
Yeah, I mean, I think that people are pretty sure that 13 dunks is the most in school history.
Huh.
Pretty good. 11 of their 19 field goals in the game. Sorry, in the second half
Dunks.
were dunks. Pretty impressive. They also have 60 dunks over their first 12 games.
Wow.
So I'm gonna start a petition to rename West Lafayette Dunk City, Indiana, just because there's a little stank on what the West Lafayette name, and Purdue being the bright spot. So just start fresh.
It might become Edie Town here soon.
Yeah, that's
if he leads them to a national title.
That's
I think
also
there's going to be a petition.
I think that petition gets more signatures than the Dunk City one.
Purdue, if Zach Edey wins most outstanding player and is back-to-back national player of the year and leads them to a national title, he gets a statue, right?
Dog, he's already going to get a statue.
Like he has to.
I think he's.
You think if he gets two national player of the years, he's getting a statue, or you think one is enough?
I think they're already calling the guy to make the statue. Like they're already making a cast.
They're calling Tom statue.
Yeah.
To get the statue.
Yeah. But a huge game for the Matt Painter record book.
Mm-hmm.
He's now 4th place by himself. He holds 4th place by himself in Big Ten's all-time win list. He's got 424. Excuse me. 449. My notes are all kinds of screwed up.
Okay. Good job to Matt Painter. Winning some games.
Yeah. The 3 guys above him, Tom Izzo. Okay. 694 career wins. Bob Knight, 659. Gene Katie, 512. So
knocking at the door.
He's knocking on the door of Katie. A little bit of a ways to go. I think he has to finish his career at Purdue to probably beat Knight or Izzo. I think Izzo's not going anywhere anytime soon. I don't think so. He's just going to keep.
Painter is either.
Yeah, I think that a team like, I don't know, Duke would have to call him and be like, "Got a job for you."
Yeah, but even then,
I don't think that's happened. Yeah. Oh, exactly.
Yeah,
I mean,
why?
He's not going anywhere. He's gonna retire a Boiler. So big chance that he surpasses at least 1 to 2 more of these guys.
I just had the funniest. What would be the funniest possible outcome is when Mike Woodson leaves Indiana, as if
Indiana called Painter.
Everyone is like, Indiana's going to hire Dusty May, and they just pivot and they go, Matt Painter, blank check. All you have to do is just basically say, screw you, Purdue, and come to Indiana. I don't think that there's a dollar amount that would do it because he doesn't need the money.
No, and he doesn't do it for the money, I don't think.
No, absolutely not. But I did love to see Matt Painter messing with Rayfield Davis.
Yeah.
Shout out to a fellow Southside Archer.
Yep.
Nice to see him working sideline and doing stuff for the Big Ten Network. But good for him to get back there and see him back in Mackey, and
yep.
It's nice to see him and to see Robbie Hummel doing stuff with Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell that everyone who plays for Painter just loves the guy.
We talk about culture with Notre Dame.
Yeah.
The culture at Purdue is
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
You see Lance Jones has been there for like 4 months and he's already tweeting like, I love it here.
Yeah.
Like, this is the best thing I've ever done. So
yeah.
Southern Indiana moved down 6 spots in Ken Palm. They're 339th. They went 1-1. They had a win over St. Francis and not a Division I team. So don't get too excited there. 79-47, but then they got absolutely stomped by Southern Illinois, 81-50. So that brings them to 3-10 overall. They are one of 10 Division I teams without a D1 win.
And that's a big reason why I moved them down in the power rankings. Is just they've had a lot of they've played way more, maybe not way more. They've played just as many Division I or non-Division I teams as IUPUI, but they just haven't been able to squeak out a Division I win. And I just think,
I think they have like a 1-point loss in there to a team, to a Division I team. So it's just tough.
Yeah.
But
I mean, against St. Francis, USI went on a 13-0 run to a lead by 20.
Yeah.
To end the first half, and just from there it was just kind of run away with it.
If you ever been like not sure like what the difference between Division 1 and Division 2 is, like
Just being able to come back from a 20-point deficit.
They beat St. Francis by 22, and then they turned around in the next game and lost to Southern Illinois by 31. Like this is a team that just transitioned last year.
Yep.
But they did have a better season last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a rough one. In the Southern Illinois game, Kyron Powell did not play. He had apparently back spasms, and coach said that he could like barely walk.
Back spasms are no joke. I can
never
attest.
had them, but that sounds awful.
Yeah, not fun. Yeah, I mean, they had a lights out night against St. Francis, and then just absolutely
Salukis
lost
are a
it
good
all.
team.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw them.
Yeah.
We did see Indiana State beat the Salukis, right?
Yep.
It was Indiana State.
Yeah.
But you know, AJ Smith in the Southern Illinois game had 14, and he had 8 free throws and had 10 boards. So good job. But they shot 25% from the field and 22% from 3.
They had 14 first half points.
Yeah, it was rough.
Not great, but
this is the team that was leading Duke at half.
Exactly. So like there's definitely potential there. They're hitting free throws, which I think is going to be very important, especially going into conference play this coming week. They, that was most of their second half scoring. Made 17 of the 24 attempts at the line.
Yeah,
which is good.
And
I think you just got to build around that.
They did start to
Beat up a little bit,
get it going in the end. Obviously, the game was just already over, but they do play the 52nd hardest schedule in the country so far.
Did not realize
so
that.
They played the 52nd hardest schedule, so they should get some wins in the Ohio Valley.
Yeah.
So it sucks that they're going to finish without a D1 win in non-conference, but they should get some here in the Ohio Valley Conference.
Yeah, for sure. Our last one, Valpo. They went 0-1. They moved down 2 spots in KenPom. They're 320 from 318. Took an 18-point L to Samford, 79-61. They did score the game's first 5 points.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, Samford's a really good team.
Yeah, I really do like the Samford team. They're
same team that played Purdue.
Yep.
Schwieger had 15 and 7, and Sherman Weatherspoon had 11. But Samford knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
They knew the scouting report. They held Stafford to 2 points, 1 for 7.
I will give Valpo a little bit of credit. Samford, they press a lot.
Yep.
They force a lot of turnovers.
Yep.
Valpo only turned it over 10 times. And that's the fewest turnovers that Samford has forced all season. So good for them.
We're talking about a team. I mean, Samford is a top 100 KenPom team.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, Samford went and they lost at Purdue, and then they lost to VCU, and then they have nothing but W's.
They're a good
nothing
team.
but W's.
They're a good team. It was also Valpo's highest 3-point attempt against a Division I opponent. They only made 6.
They shot a lot.
They shot a lot at 30.
I mean, having Stafford have 2 points is not going to help you.
Yeah, he went a donut from 3.
Yeah, Casper Sepp had 11 boards and got his first college start, and Darius Diavero had 10 assists. So
yeah, I mean
that, man. I mean, they have so many pieces that do play well. They just don't seem to play what they just don't seem to piece it together well yet.
Right.
So I'm hopeful. I mean, they're 4-8. That's not terrible. They do, however, have to go into the Missouri Valley now, and should be pretty tough.
Yeah,
so.
I do think that's going to be tough for them. But again, they're a team that starting the season had a lot of roster turnover. I just think they're trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
and it's unfortunate they haven't figured it out to this point. But I think that there's still a lot of ball to be played. I just want them to not finish last in the conference. Is really what I'm pulling for them. But
seems like it'll be tough.
Yeah.
Missouri Valley is tough.
Yeah.
But what do we have? Oh, I almost forgot.
Yeah.
Jimmy Chitwood this week. So this one was a little bit tough because like last week there were a couple players that went off.
Yeah.
Even in one game. But I think the person that I'm gonna have to give it to, I think our Jimmy Chitwood Player of the Week for week
8.
8.
Well, it would have been week 7. No.
Yeah.
Week 7
recap.
Week 7.
Hey, our Jimmy Chitwood Player of the Week for week 7 is Malik Renew, Indiana. Had a career high, 25 points. He had 7 boards. He went 4 for 4. Yes, 4 for 4 from 3. I'm talking about Malik Curry here.
I was going to correct you because you said Malik Renew to start.
You're like, who? Yeah, Malik Curry only played 26 minutes. So that's almost a bucket a minute, almost a point a minute. And he went 10 for 14 overall. 2 assists and 0 fouls. So
huge for him.
Good job,
huge week.
Malik Renew.
Huge game.
Yeah, great job. You showed everyone that Indiana is going to come out and win this game, and you're playing great basketball. So good job, Malik Renew. Jimmy Chitwood, week 7. Jump into games for next week, Jaron.
Yeah. So
in Indiana, what do we have?
A game that I want to look at, only because we've seen him play so many times already. Southern Indiana goes to play SEMO.
Okay. Everyone plays SEMO.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I mean, Evansville played him twice. Ball State played him. Now, I think we've talked about it. Like, I think it's just a good comparison to see how Southern Indiana is going to fare in the conference, especially seeing how they compare to these other teams that have played SEMO. But realistically, I mean, we talked about it. Evansville goes to Cincinnati.
That's one I'm really, really looking forward to.
Yeah, I think that'll be a fun game. Cincinnati's not the Cincinnati that they typically have been in the past.
Yeah.
Evansville's playing out of their minds.
Mm-hmm.
So really good opportunity to maybe steal a win on the road.
Yeah, you need to win that game you don't like that's not like a must win if you're Evansville, but if you want to feel good going into the Missouri Valley, like you need to win that. You're supposed to on KenPom lose by 14. I think if this were a betting show and that comes out and it's Evansville plus 14, I think you absolutely like have them cover.
I'm betting for them I'm taking them to cover. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, Cincinnati's they're top 40 in KenPom. Evansville had that loss at BYU, but I think BYU's a lot better than Cincinnati. So yeah. I think that they'll definitely cover that spread.
It'll be a fun game nonetheless.
Yeah. IUPUI plays at home against Detroit Mercy. You got to get that win.
I think it's a winnable game. I mean, they're 1 point dogs currently. IUPUI is 1 point dogs currently. So that's within reach.
Yeah. I think that it can be done. I think that you got to win it. PFW also plays Detroit Mercy, but they also play Northern Kentucky. So the Northern Kentucky game coming up is going to be tough. They're favored by 7, but I think that's going to be a good test for PFW.
The Norse are a good team.
Yes.
They're a good team. I'm really excited for Indiana State, Michigan State.
Yes. Michigan State was playing really terribly.
Yep. They turned it around a little bit.
They destroyed Baylor.
Yeah.
But I think that this will be a very good game. I think either team can win it.
That's going to be a fun game.
Yeah, I think that Michigan State is probably going to bring it. Like, it's on break, but I think that Michigan State will probably have to. The Breslin Center is probably going to have to be rocking.
Yeah.
For them to really put away this Indiana State team that's not going to back down. They're 9 point dogs Again, if we were a betting show, man, I'm telling you, take Indiana State plus the points. Yeah, take them to cover. Notre Dame plays at home against Virginia. Virginia's pace of play is going to be really tough, but you got to try and steal one somewhere.
Yep.
Virginia's really good, but they also have really weird losses all the time. So try and win that. That's really all I have for that I'm looking forward to. There's not many games.
No, I mean, we don't have a game until Friday. Friday, 6 games Friday.
Yeah, Friday, Saturday,
7 games
Sunday.
Friday, 2 games Saturday, and 3 games Sunday. So,
yeah,
light week, as to be expected. Christmas holiday.
Yeah, we probably will.
The New Year holiday.
We probably will record our next episode before the IUPUI, PFW, and the Southern Indiana games on New Year's Eve, just because those don't really move the needle for me too much. I think Cleveland State is probably favored big against IUPUI. PFW is probably favored big against Detroit Mercy. And Southern Indiana, and Lindenwood. I don't know.
Yeah, but so we may not cover those games on our next episode,
but we'll talk about them.
But we'll talk about them at some point.
Check in on the
other 49 states. Again, not a lot going on. Last week, a couple things. I mean, Defiance, we talked about them. They only had 9 second half points against Ohio on Monday. I was like, that was interesting. Providence beat Marquette by 15.
Yes.
But then Marquette came and beat Georgetown by 30. So,
dude, a lot of these teams that are top 10 like national title contenders are just having weird losses.
Yeah. I mean, Creighton lost again.
Yeah.
To Villanova by 2. Yep. So it's weird. The only team that's been consistent in the top 25 is James Madison, but they're not playing as tough of a schedule.
Like Purdue probably has the best loss of like those top tier teams.
Yep.
Because it was an overtime 1-point loss.
Yep.
Like that could have gone either way. But the other ones are like, Marquette getting destroyed by 15, Marquette getting destroyed by like 20 or 30 Wisconsin.
Memphis dumped on Virginia.
Yeah.
By 23. So it's just Seton Hall beat UConn by 15.
Yeah.
Like
it's been weird. And I think that it's better for the sport when it's like this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But right now, Purdue looks like they're in the driver's seat,
Oh yeah, man.
Being number 1 normally is like a curse.
Was last year for them.
Yeah.
But not
seems like everyone else is just losing. Purdue's holding on, so we'll see what happens when they get to the Big Ten. James Madison still looks good, and talked about it. Florida Atlantic was playing in Vegas against Arizona, and they won in double overtime, 96-95. Yeah, Donnell Davis had 35. Caleb Love played hot and cold, as he does. But
yep.
I don't know. It was just a really good game. Florida Atlantic was down double digits, and they ended up bringing it back, and they're just so solid.
Yeah,
they're so good top to bottom. And this was like, I think they said in his 3, I guess this is his 3rd year.
Dusty May's 3rd year.
No, in Tommy Lloyd's. This is Tommy Lloyd's 3rd year. He was going into this game. He was like 9-0 in Vegas.
Oh,
and Dusty May canceled that on him.
Said not anymore.
Yeah. So good
for
FAU,
them,
man. They have that one weird loss to Bryant.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But other than that, they've been like really good. Like they lost to Illinois by like 6. They beat Illinois. They played Illinois, and Illinois is looking really good.
Oh yeah.
So far.
Speaking of Illinois, I want to talk about next week a little bit. Illinois does play Fairleigh Dickinson on Friday. Expect Illinois to run away with it, but Fairleigh Dickinson does have experience beating top-ranked Big Ten teams.
Well, their coach left, right?
That doesn't matter. It's the energy around the program. Texas, 19-ranked Texas plays 9-3 UNC Greensboro. UNC Greensboro beat Arkansas by 6 earlier this season, so expect Texas to win, but could be an interesting game because Greensboro knows what it takes to win against a pretty decent program.
And Texas also did have a 1-point win over Louisville.
Yeah. So we've seen them play against lower tier teams.
Gonzaga, top 15 Gonzaga plays San Diego State, who destroyed St. Mary's and lost by 9 to BYU, and BYU is really good. I think BYU just got like powered up by going to the Big 12.
Yep. But I think that Gonzaga game will be interesting just because San Diego State, they're a team that can win on any given day against good opponents. So the last one is Creighton goes to Marquette. We've seen both Creighton and Marquette take some pretty big and unexpected losses this season. So it'll be, I want to call it a mid-off, but it's really not because they're top 15 teams. But it'll just be like are the teams going to play like the 3 losses that each of them has? Or are they going to play like the 8, 9, 10 wins that each of them has?
Yeah, it's a, it has big East implications, like big.
Yeah. I mean,
you need to get as many as you can early.
Yep.
But just don't know. Like Purdue plays Marquette, and then Marquette they beat Marquette. Marquette starts just dropping games. Tennessee starts dropping games.
Break Marquette? Did they break Tennessee?
Did they break Arizona?
You got me. I mean, you know who they didn't break? Northwestern. They kind of did because Northwestern then lost to Chicago.
They breaking everybody.
Maybe don't play Purdue.
Here we go.
It's a big thing.
Catch COVID right when you're supposed to play Purdue. That way Purdue can't get Big Ten wins.
Yep.
They have
Exactly.
It's a light week, like we said, so not a whole bunch that we're looking forward to. Not game wise that I'm looking and keeping an eye on is Kenny Payne.
They did say that he is not going to be fired.
So I was hearing I was hearing before the Kentucky game that he was not going to be fired before then, but like that they were still like in the process. But then I saw something that was like them being like, we're paying so many people's buyouts that we just like don't have the money.
Yeah,
for this.
That's what I saw most recently is they just don't have the money to buy out, and they don't have a suitable interim coach. To which someone then posted a picture of Tom Crean. But yeah, I definitely think to expect Kenny Payne to finish the season at Louisville. After the season, though, I don't know if they still don't have that much money for a buyout.
Yeah,
they're gonna have to call up some donors or something because
it's Louisville. You'll find the money. I mean, come on,
you got to.
That AD needs to do his job.
Yeah, you got to. I just think that they haven't. I don't think they were prepared to be this bad this season, and so
they? They saw how last season was.
Okay. I'm done making excuses for him.
Yeah.
Anyways, expect Kenny Payne to be here the rest of the season.
It's the thing that like you just can't stop talking about it because it just doesn't go away.
Yeah.
We buried the lead, Jaron. It's Christmas. Merry Christmas.
It is.
Happy
Christmas.
holidays.
Merry
everybody.
Happy holidays. As you were both wearing.
That's what I'm saying. We buried the lead. We're just out here wearing Santa hats.
Didn't even talk about it.
Nope. Just nothing changed.
Yeah. I mean, nothing changed.
We're happy that you're listening to us on Christmas and not a day after, right? You're all listening. You say, oh boy, 8 a.m. While my kids open their presents.
I mean, just put it on your smart speaker in the background. Yeah. Play it on the TV while your kids are opening gifts.
Well, actually, don't do that. Open it on all of their devices and play it individually so that we get the plays. I mean, playing it on a smart speaker only.
And that could be a good intro to you when you get an iPad for your kid or a phone for your kid. It's a good way to teach them how to use YouTube or Spotify. It's just State of Basketball, both places. Just pull it up and you can teach them the interface by using us as your test dummies.
Your kid wants to watch Mr. Beast. Your kid wants to watch the State of Basketball. That's what it is.
Exactly. But like we mentioned it, happy holidays. We will see you next year.
Yeah.
Actually, our next episode won't come out until New Year's Day. So that's exciting.
Yeah, we'll change, and you see we've got our decor has changed a little bit. We've got some representation from 2 of the 11 schools. We're trying. We're
Yeah.
trying. If you want to send us something, I don't have a PO box, so
just DM us.
yeah, we'll work something out. But if you want to donate, for something for some of the schools, let us know. We would love to have it.
Maybe you get a new shirt for the holidays and you're going through your closet, maybe getting rid of some shirts, or you get some new decor.
Yeah, you're like, oh, the Screaming Eagle. I don't need this anymore. It doesn't fit. You know who would love it? Adam and Jaren's wall.
Absolutely. But anyways, the clock is showing quadruple zero, so it's time for us to get out of here. Thanks for checking in on the State of Basketball podcast. And remember, 49 states.
It's just basketball.